Hello everybody, and today we'll be talking budgeting. If you recall, in the last video titled Stop Bleeding Money, I gave a number of tips on things to do, those micro savings that we could get involved in to keep the money in our pockets, and also highlighted some of the small things we do that cause us to lose money without us even thinking about it. So this is a follow-up to that video. If you recall, I had mentioned budgeting in that video, just in passing. I didn't give any tips or anything, and I did promise that I would discuss it in another video, and that is this particular video. So the title of today's video is How to Budget. But if you see what the thumbnail carries, that's the poster for this particular video. The title is Honey, Is It in the Budget? And I borrowed that title from a book authored by an acquaintance of mine, also a Twitter friend, in the person of Mr. Yinka Ogunubi. It's a book on personal finance, which will help you to manage your resources, especially within the domestic environment. As you can see from the title, it says, Honey, Is It in the Budget? So it's a conversation between, spouses with regard to how to manage the home finances. You will find the book available in Roving Heights stores in Lagos and Abuja. And just to let you know, if you would like to have us endorse any of your products, endorse your business, you can reach out to us, and for a small fee, we can make that happen on this show. Now, before going any further, what is a personal budget? What is a personal budget? A personal budget can be defined as a document that helps one to come up with a plan to utilize one's financial resources optimally. Or in more basic terms, it is a document which, properly laid out, can help you to manage your finances more intelligently and help you to prevent impulse buying while keeping you out of financial penury. It is usually deployed for monthly expenses. That is when you talk about the domestic front, and that is my area of focus. We're talking mostly about the domestic front, how to manage your home. For those who are married, if you're single and maybe you have a job or you have a source of income, how do you manage those resources to keep you going from one month to the next? Now, this particular video will be focusing on people who earn a steady income. I'll do another video for those who do not earn a steady income. Those who earn a steady income, when I talk about them, I'm referring to people who earn a monthly salary. Yeah, so salaried workers. You are definite, you're almost certain that something is coming in at the end of every month. How do you manage that resource? That's what this video is about. So I urge you to watch to the end and subsequently like, share, comment, subscribe, and if the video makes sense to you, come back again for more. Now, there are a number of rules for optimizing one's personal resources, and the most popular or the most well-known is the 50-30-20 rule. Now, this suggests that whatever you're earning, you split into 50%, 30%, and 20%. This particular format was invented, so to speak, by a United States Senator in the person of Professor Elizabeth Warren, alongside her daughter, Amelia Warren Tyagi. Now, the wife, mother, professor, and politician introduced the concept to us in her book, All Your Worth, The Ultimate Lifetime Money Plan, first published in 2006. The 50-30-20 budgeting principle has remained relevant ever since. Now, what do those percentages represent? Essentially, Warren advises that income, now when I say income, I'm referring to money you have earned, money that comes into your account, should be split into three parts, which I've already mentioned earlier. She suggests that 50% of the sum, that's 50% of whatever you are earning, should be put aside for your needs. Now, when we talk about needs, naturally we're referring to, everyday upkeep. How do you go from one day to the next till you earn your next salary? Bills, food, groceries, and so on and so forth. So 50%, under the 50-30-20 rule, 50% of whatever you're earning is meant to be set aside to handle such needs, okay? What maybe you might want to refer to as recurrent expenditure, if you're somebody it's language that's used in the business sector. Those things that you consistently have to keep paying for. You keep half of your earnings aside for that. That would make up 50%. Now, 30% should be dedicated to your wants. Those things that make you feel good. You want to catch a movie, you want to go give yourself a treat somewhere, you want to buy yourself some perfume, those things that make life worth living. Yeah? Because the necessities don't necessarily bring us any joy. These are things that you must do, whether you like them or not, to prevent undue stress. So 30% now we're talking about those things that help you to live and enjoy your life and have a good time. She suggests that you put 30% of your salary away for such things. Then 20% you save. So that would be, if you are earning 200,000 naira, for instance, that would be 100,000 naira representing 50% of that 200,000. 100,000 naira put aside for your needs. Then 30% of the remaining 100,000, that would be 60,000. You'll be putting 60,000 naira aside for your wants. Give yourself a treat, feel good, go out with friends, and so on and so forth. And then 20% being 40,000, you now save on a monthly basis. What do you do with your savings subsequently? You can save with a view to invest. That's one of the main reasons why you save. You could also just be saving for a rainy day. Nobody knows the day, some nonsense will happen. You could lose your job. If you already have a savings purse somewhere, then you have something to fall back on. So that is what the 50-30-20 rule is all about. But of course, that is not the only rule. It's one of the most well-known rules, so I started with it. Now, apart from 50-30-20, you also have the option of 60-30-10, again split into percentages. Now, contrary to what you might be thinking, 60-30-10 does not quite follow the same philosophy as 50-30-20. 60-30-10 might be more applicable or more useful for people who have found themselves in a position where they really want to focus on tomorrow. So let's say, for instance, you're currently an employee, but you're working toward becoming a business owner. 60-30-10 might be more useful to you because it advocates that you put 60% of your resources, of your earnings, aside to settle things like debts. So if you have debts and so on and so forth, you get that out of your 60%. From that same 60%, you commit something to whatever you're investing in, and so on and so forth. So that 60% is not even for your needs, so to say, is with a view to pushing you in the direction of financial freedom. So you're paying off your debts, you're investing, and so on and so forth, out of your 60%. Then the 30% you commit to your needs. This is where we're talking about food, utilities, bills, and so on and so forth. then 10% you keep aside for saving. So that is it for 60, 30, 10. I personally believe that it is more viable, it would be more useful for those who are planning in the long term to free themselves. If you're thinking of an early retirement, you want to be able to have spending money while not really being tied down to a 9 to 5 and so on and so forth, then you might consider the 60, 30, 10 principle of managing your income. Then you have the 70, 20, 10 principle. Now, it's 70, 20, 10. It's a bit similar to 50, 30, 20, but in this case, whoever invented it really feels that you should commit at least 70% to taking care of your needs, your bills, utilities, and so on and so forth. And 20% can now go to things like investments, savings, and so on and so forth, while 10% will go into handling of debts, donations, what have you. Well, whichever works best for you. I think the most important thing for you to know is that none of these principles are carved in stone. The idea is just to get you thinking. The idea is for you to realize that there is a need to plan. There's a need for you to plan how you manage or how you use your money. For those of us who earn a salary, it is not uncommon that by the 10th of the month, you are already flat broke. In fact, sometimes it gets so bad that you begin to wonder if somebody has had access to your finances. Did somebody take something out of your wallet, and so on and so forth? No, in most instances, that's not the case. It's simply a question of a lack of planning. So you spend the money, and at the end of the day, impulse buying, especially nowadays that it's so much easier to just input your card details on a website somewhere and then have something shipped to you. Impulse buying. You see, if you're able to sit down, get a pen and paper, and just outline these things, it's not rocket science. Just pick whatever works for you. Pick what works for you. As a much younger lady who didn't even have knowledge of these things, what I used to do that was when I was single. Whenever my monthly income came in, I'd withdraw the portion I needed to withdraw, label envelopes accordingly, fuel, food, NEPA, DSTV, and I'd put the relevant amounts in each envelope and stick with it. That's what I was doing at the time. And it really helped me to work within what I was earning, because at the time I was earning six figures. And yet there were months when I'd come up scratching my head like, what happened? So that was when I realized that you can't afford to just spend blindly. You need to come up with a cohesive plan. And that was what I was doing at the time. So if that works for you, you can try it too. But it requires a certain degree of self-discipline. Budgeting requires a lot of self-discipline, a lot of fiscal discipline. You need to be able to be strict with yourself. So if you are doing 70, 20, 10, for instance, you make sure that 10%, if you have debts, you make sure that you pay out of that. And for you to keep just 10% aside for debts, it means that whatever debt you have is maybe insignificant. Maybe you borrowed the odd 5,000 here and there, and you want to make sure that is out of the way. If it is proper debts, like maybe, a mortgage or a car loan repayment and things like that, 10% might not cut it. But then again, it also depends on how much you are earning. Okay? So the idea is for you to come up with a plan that works well with your reality and with your earnings. There are quite a number of these options out there. These are the three I chose to speak about. You can go online, Google, and find other options. I'm sure you'll find other options. You'll even see templates online that you can use to actually plan your monthly income and so on and so forth. Now, you may have noticed that none of these suggestions for how to manage your money have said anything about charity or philanthropy. And I found that in our cultural setting, charity and philanthropy play a big role in what happens to our resources or our finances. So I would say, for instance, that, and you know, all of this talk is about managing your personal resources, your personal finances. You know best what your reality is. I dare say for most Nigerians, 90% of Nigerians, you are going to have family members that are indigent, because we tend to live a lifestyle where we take even the far extended family into consideration. So we hardly ever have a situation where you're looking just at yourself and the immediate nuclear family or the immediate extended family. There's always that great grand uncles, cousins, wives, younger brothers, sisters, blah, 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 that suddenly took ill, and there's nobody else they can reach out to but you, and so on and so forth. So, for my part, I would suggest that depending on, where your mind is at, you could decide to keep 5%. Modify, these things, they're just, they're guidelines, so to speak. So they can be modified. They're not meant to be cast in stone. They're just meant to avert your mind to certain things that you could be doing to help you manage your resources better. So there's always room for improvement, modification, whatever you prefer to call it, to suit your needs. So if you come from the kind of background where there is need for you to chip in and help people every now and then, I would suggest putting 5 to 10% aside of your resources. Put aside for that. And whenever you exhaust that amount, don't be afraid. If it is not a question of life and death, don't be afraid to say, I'm sorry, I'll not be able to help you this month, but if you can give me a little time, toward the end of the next month, I'll be able to send you something. That way you do not find yourself depleting your resources unnecessarily because you're trying to help other people. It is good to help other people, but you must first of all look after yourself so that you don't find yourself in a situation where, as a result of helping so many people out there, you yourself are now in a bad state financially, okay? So you need to look after yourself properly, adequately, your immediate family, maybe the immediate extended family, before, bending over backwards to help people who are way out there. I'm sure quite a number of us might remember the musician MC Hammer. He took the music world by storm with his crazy dance steps and everything. Today he's a pastor. And the thing is, MC Hammer, at the peak of his career, MC Hammer made very, very, very good money. And he became the neighborhood philanthropist. In no time at all, he ran out of money. This video is not about him, but you might want to Google him up and see how quickly he blew through his money. And it wasn't just because he was, living an unduly luxurious life. It was also because he decided to make other people's problems his own. So if you read up on that, it helps to buttress the point I'm trying to make, that yes, by all means, help people, but do it in a fashion that does not leave you penniless. Okay? The truth is this: we are all dispensable. It's not a very good truth, but it is a truth. If you drop dead today, chances are good that that person who is in need will find another way. So before people get the wrong message, I'm not saying don't help people. I'm saying that you should help within reason, remembering that you owe yourself a duty to yourself also. You need to be kind to yourself as well. Look after your needs as well. So, having mentioned these different money management options that are available, I hope you found them useful. And like I said, remember that the idea behind everything is for you to be able to manage your resources intelligently. If you are a salary earner, like I have been, you will agree with me that most months you're not able to stretch your income beyond the first 2 weeks, no matter how much you're earning. Because sometimes the more you earn, the more your responsibilities just seem to balloon. So if you do not take the time to sit down and plan how you're going to spend your resources carefully, you will constantly be in a state of penury, even when you start earning 8 figures, 7 figures. You just don't know what happened to the money because you do not have a structure in place. You don't have a structured approach to managing your resources. You do not have a structured approach to charity or philanthropy. You're not saving anything, or you save with very short-term goals. You want to buy a car, so you just quickly save and you buy the car, and then so going forward, sit down, take the time, look through your finances. Why don't you make it your resolution for this year? Starting 2022, whenever I earn my salary, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at either the 50-30-20, 60-30-10, 70-20-10, whatever. I need to get myself a financial plan that I can use to manage my resources so that I'm able to stretch myself through the month. The next video after this one, I'll be talking about how to manage resources for people who do not earn a regular income. People who do not earn, on a regular monthly basis. That's what the next video will address. I hope you found this one useful. If you did, like, share, subscribe, and do not forget to leave a comment. And I'll see you again next week.